Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Your Excellency, Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Governments, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and privilege to address the 80th UN General Assembly today at a time when our world is at a critical juncture. The UN was founded on the principles of advancing peace, security and development, and progress globally after the destruction of the Second World War. The UN is the embodiment of our common aspiration for a global governance anchored in international law, fairness, and equality. 8 years on since the first UN General Assembly, we should have already been better together, not seeking to justify why we can't be better together today. Global challenges across the world, people and indeed humanity as a whole is challenged with existential obstacles and threats that we can resolve through dialogue, cooperation, unity, and shared purpose. Yet, instead of seeking to strengthen existing and future partnerships and enhancing social solidarity, to achieve this, we are in a world of adverse competition and increasing governance uncertainty. Where we once strived to ask what's right under the international law, today we are witnessing the unapologetic rise of national might to settle disputes. This is a truly dark and dangerous path that threatens the hard-won, rules-based international order we collectively agreed on as UN member states. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, while we should be focused strategically on accomplishing the Sustainable Development Goals and leaving no one behind by 2030, the number of fragile states and populations living in poverty is increasing globally. Over 30 member states of the UN today, including my country, Somalia, are classified as a fragile, conflict-affected because of both conflict and social and institutional fragility. When you add the vulnerability stemming from climate change, this number is frightening higher. In addition to this, urbanization is rising at the fastest rate in the human history because of conflict, climate, and lack of economic opportunities in rural communities. Furthermore, food insecurity remains a persistent, deadly challenge affecting billions. According to the World Food Programme, 319 million people are facing acute hunger in 67 countries today. These stark and startling facts must give us all pause for reflection and thought. If we, as a community of nations, are serious about achieving common progress and prosperity for all, as envisioned in the Sustainable Development Goals, we must redouble efforts to strengthen multilateralism, solidarity, and shared action for all our people and planet. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Somalia, as a broad non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, is working tirelessly to promote the ideals and the values of peace, stability, and shared opportunities across the world. We are actively working with all Security Council members and the wider UN membership to find solutions for peace in the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Somalia remains deeply concerned by the continued suffering of the Palestinian people. The ongoing violence, displacement, and deprivation faced in the occupied territories, including Gaza, demand our collective conscience and urgent action. We call for an immediate and lasting ceasefire, unhindered humanitarian access, and renewed commitment towards the two-state solution as the only viable path for a just and lasting peace in the Middle East today. Somalia Security Council Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Somalia is a unique history of decisively transitioning from conflict to a brighter socio-economic and political and security future. Starting from 2012 is the history of a real national effort supported by truly committed international partners, many of whom are represented in this room today. In fact, Somalia is an evidence that multilateralism and global solidarity can make the world a better, safer, and progressive place. This lived experience is our own government's inspiration for a determinedly working for a more just, peaceful, and progressive world within the UN Security Council during our membership, because we know that we are truly better together. When we all work in unison at home, we are bravely fighting the last remaining pockets of international terrorism while building a strong and sustainable national security architecture. We are working closely with all our valuable international partners in defeating the violence, extremism, ideology, falsehoods, and illicit financial systems that facilitate global terrorism. As a result of our efforts in Somalia, our people and citizens across the world are safe today. Of course, while we remain grateful for all international support to combat terrorism, I strongly commend the unwavering commitment and courage of Somali security forces and the local community defense forces for their sacrifices, resilience, and success against Al-Shabaab and ISIS, the two most dangerous terror organizations in the world today. This will continue until we achieve complete victory and harmony in our country, our region, our continent, and the wider world. We must never give in to cowardly terrorists. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our government has embarked on a historic journey to undertake universal suffrage elections in Somalia for the first time in 57 years. Somalia was Africa's first democratic nation in the 1960s, and we are proudly returning to that path of inclusive governance once again. Today, our national election registration process is ongoing, and more than 40 independent political associations have registered to participate in the upcoming elections. Our national experience is that nothing is better than a people-centered, a people-led, guided by the rule of law to build a unified and prosperous nation in our country. Financing development, the sustainable development goals are the blueprint for achieving dignity, justice, and equality through real investment in human capital, job creation, and social protection for the most vulnerable in all our communities. However, it was very clear from the fourth financing for development conference in Seville earlier this year that the financing gap between our ambitions and the reality are very far apart.